Welcome back to Worlds of Protheka audiobooks. And if this is your first time, be warned. Once you step into Protheka, you'll never want to leave. With beasts who will stop at nothing to protect the women they love, and women who are only just finding out what a real man can be, you'll lose yourself in the dark romance of these fantasy stories. To bring you these free full audiobooks, we have to listen to this platform's guidelines, and they say that Protheka's steamiest scenes aren't allowed. But you can still get them from the unabridged version of any Prothekan audiobook. All you have to do is go to worldsofprotheka.com. With promo code YouTube30, we're offering you the opportunity to get 30% off of any audiobook, ebook, or bundle. We appreciate you subscribing to the channel, as it makes bringing these free full audiobooks to you possible. Don't forget to like and comment to let us know what you think. Protheka's magic is eternal, and this story is just the beginning.
Chapter 1. Chyros. I stand in the center of my private chambers in Tilith, the air thick with anticipation. The room's organic black walls pulse with an eerie, otherworldly energy. I take a deep breath, centering myself for the complex ritual ahead. My silver eyes flicker across the intricate runes etched into the floor. I've spent weeks preparing for this moment, studying ancient texts and perfecting every detail. This ritual will push the boundaries of Sazgaroth magic, potentially unlocking secrets about the very nature of our existence. Damn, I mutter, running a hand through my floating white hair. Let's do this. I raise my arms, feeling the magical energy coursing through my veins. The blue runes covering my obsidian skin begin to glow, pulsing in rhythm with my heartbeat. I start to chant, my voice low and resonant. Oltix, god of earth, hear my call. Naia, goddess of chaos, lend me your power. The air crackles with electricity. Sweat beads on my forehead as I pour more of myself into the spell. The runes on the floor ignite, casting an eerie blue light throughout the chamber. By the seven, grant me sight beyond sight! A vortex of energy erupts around me, whirling with chaotic force. I grit my teeth, fighting to maintain control. Lesser demons would have been torn apart by now, but I'm not some weak peon. The vortex coalesces into a shimmering portal. Through it I catch glimpses of other realms, places beyond Tilith, beyond even Protheka. My theories were right. There are countless worlds out there waiting to be explored. Holy crap, I breathe, my eyes wide with wonder. But something's wrong. The portal starts to destabilize, its edges fraying like torn fabric. I pour more power into the spell, my muscles straining with effort. Come on, you bastard, I growl. Stay open! The chamber shakes, artifacts toppling from shelves. I can feel the magic slipping away, threatening to tear a hole in reality itself. With a final burst of will, I slam my hands together, severing the connection. The portal collapses in on itself with a thunderous boom. I'm thrown backward, crashing into the far wall. As the dust settles, I lie there, panting heavily. Well, I croak, a wry smile tugging at my lips. That was fun. I stumble out of my chambers, still shaken from the ritual's aftermath. My body aches, but my mind races with the implications of what I've just witnessed. I need to share this with the others. The hall buzzes with activity as I push open its massive obsidian doors. Fellow Sazgaroth demons huddle in small groups, their voices a low murmur beneath the crackle of magical energy that permeates the air. Chyros! Zilgron, a lanky Sazgaroth with emerald eyes, waves me over. You look terrible. Rough day, practicing? I smirk, dropping into an empty seat at their table. You could say that. Just had a breakthrough that'll make your horns curl. Mara, a fiery-haired sorceress, leans in. Oh? Do tell. I take a deep breath, gathering my thoughts. Remember our discussions about Arasak? How it couldn't possibly be the only habitable world besides our floating rock? Zilgron nods. Yeah, but that's just speculation. We have no proof. I saw them, I interrupt, my voice low but intense. Other realms. Countless worlds just waiting to be explored. Silence falls over our little group. Mara's eyes narrow. That's impossible. The amount of power needed to pierce the veil between realms is insane, I know, I finish for her. But I did it. Nearly tore myself apart in the process, but I did it. Zilgron leans back, his face a mask of skepticism. Chyros, come on. We all know you're brilliant, but this is a bit much. Even for you. I feel a flash of frustration. Think about it. We know Arasak exists. We know Asmodeus made a pact to bring Galmaleth here, above Prothika. If there are 2 habitable worlds, why not more? Because it defies everything we know about magic and the nature of reality, Mara counters. So did the existence of Arasak once upon a time, I argue. We can't limit ourselves to what we think we know. There's so much more out there. Our debate grows heated, drawing the attention of nearby demons. Some scoff at my claims, while others listen with growing interest. I describe the portal, the glimpses of other worlds, careful to omit the more dangerous details. Even if you're right, Zilgron says. What's the point? We have Galmaleth. We have Prothika below us. Why risk everything on some wild theory? I lean forward, my voice intense. Because we need new horizons, new possibilities. If there are other worlds out there, maybe we can find a true home. One that isn't a floating rock or someone else's planet. I look around. Unless you're telling me you haven't returned to Arasak for some other reason? But no one argues with me on it. Those of us that have chosen to stay don't want to go back to a world who has shunned us. Those of us from Galmaleth are seen as traitors, deflectors. And I won't be subjected to it, even if I want off the floating island. As conversation breaks out again, I leave the other demons to their heated debate, their voices fading as I make my way back to my chambers. My head throbs, a reminder of the intense ritual from earlier. I need some time alone to process everything I've experienced. Back in my tower, I settle into a cross-legged position on the cool obsidian floor. The familiar hum of magical energy surrounds me as I close my eyes, focusing on my breath. In, out, in, out. Slowly, the tension in my muscles begins to ease. As I sink deeper into meditation, something unexpected tugs at the edges of my consciousness. A faint yet insistent pull of magic. My brow furrows. This isn't the chaotic energy that permeates Galmaleth. No, this feels different, foreign. I concentrate, trying to pinpoint the source. It's coming from below, far below. What the hell? I mutter, opening my eyes. The pull intensifies, like an invisible hand reaching up through the floating island, trying to grab hold of me. It's not aggressive, but it's persistent. Curious. I stand, moving to the window of my tower. The storm-shrouded expanse of Prothika stretches out beneath Galmaleth, hidden beneath swirling clouds. The magic seems to be emanating from somewhere down there. My heart races. Could this be connected to the portal I opened earlier? Did I inadvertently create some kind of magical link to the world below? I pace the room, my mind whirling with possibilities. This could be the breakthrough I've been waiting for. A chance to explore Prothika, to test my theories about the nature of magic and reality itself. But it's also dangerous. Asmodeus has forbidden any unauthorized contact with the surface world. If I pursue this, I'd be risking everything. But Asmodeus has been pulled away for a trial on Arasak. There is no one to enforce our rules or laws. The magical pull tugs at me again, stronger this time. It's like it's calling to me specifically, ignoring the other Sazgoroth in Tilith. Screw it, I growl, making up my mind. I've never been one to play it safe, especially when knowledge is on the line. I begin gathering supplies, my silver eyes glinting with determination. Whatever's down there, whatever's causing this strange magical phenomenon, I'm going to find out.
Chapter 2. Naia. I wake with a start, my heart racing as the familiar dread of another day seeps in. The slave quarters reek of sweat and despair, bodies packed tight in this dank hellhole. I stretch my aching muscles, careful not to jostle the others crammed around me. Weak light filters through a grimy window. Dawn's still a ways off, but that's no excuse to linger. Overseers don't take kindly to tardiness. I slip on my threadbare tunic, the fabric rough against my skin. My fingers work quickly to braid my hair. Can't have it getting in the way while I'm hawking merchandise. Naia. A hoarse whisper catches my ear. It's Elodie, her face gaunt in the dim light. Trade you my bread for your water ration. I nod, though my parched throat screams in protest. Elodie's pregnant. She needs the sustenance more than I do. The guard's heavy footsteps echo down the hall. Time to move. I shuffle out with the others, keeping my head down. No sense in drawing attention. The market's already bustling as we're herded to our posts. The stench of unwashed bodies mingles with exotic incense, a sickening perfume that never quite masks the rot beneath. I take my place behind a rickety stool, forcing a smile as potential buyers approach. My job? Make the miserable souls on display seem like worthy investments. It's soul-crushing work, but the alternative, ending up on the auction block myself, is far worse. Step right up, I call out, hating every word. New stock, strong backs, nimble fingers. Whatever your needs, we've got the perfect slave for you. A cloaked figure pauses, eyeing a young boy chained nearby. My stomach churns, but I launch into my spiel. It's going to be a long, miserable day. The market's chaos fades as my mind drifts, dragging me back to that fateful day in Terre. The memory hits like a punch to the gut, as vivid as if it were happening all over again. I'm sprinting down a crowded alley, heart pounding. My latest pickpocketing attempt went south. The mark spotted me before I could snag his coin purse. Now I'm running for my life, ducking and weaving through the throng. Stop that thief! The shout echoes behind me, but I don't dare look back. I round a corner, relief flooding through me as I spot a familiar hidey hole. Just a few more steps, and I'll be safe. A hand clamps down on my shoulder, iron strong. I yelp, twisting to face my captor, hoping I can get out of this. But I find myself staring up at a dark elf merchant, with one look that tells me everything I need to know. He's rich from the flesh trade. His violet eyes gleam with cruel amusement, lips curled in a sneer that reveals pointed teeth. Well, well, he purrs. What have we here? A little street rodent, ripe for the taking. I thrash in his grip, but it's like fighting against stone. Let me go, I snarl, kicking at his shins. He laughs, the sound sending chills down my spine. Feisty one, aren't you? You'll fetch a fine price in Rach. Before I can scream for help, his magic sweeps in. The world spins, darkness creeping in at the edges of my vision. I fight to stay conscious, but it's no use. I wake to the gentle rocking of a ship, the tang of salt in the air. My head throbs, and when I try to move, I realise my wrists and ankles are bound. Panic claws at my throat as I take in my surroundings. A dimly lit cargo hold, packed with other frightened humans. A dark elf saunters by, smirking as he sees me awake. Welcome aboard, little Roden. Hope you enjoy the voyage to your new home. Days blur together. We're given just enough water and gruel to keep us alive. The dark elves ignore our pleas, treating us like Torah being shipped to market. Except they don't usually use the Torah to pleasure themselves during the long nights on the seas. Finally, the ship docks. We're herded off the gangplank, blinking in the harsh sunlight. I'm not sure if I should be terrified or relieved to get away from the crew. The bruises and aches on my body, my empty stomach and my parched throat, all hope that this will be an improvement. Welcome to Rach, one of our captors announces with mock cheerfulness. Your new lives await. As we're marched towards a sprawling marketplace, reality sinks in. This isn't just a bad dream I can wake up from. I'm trapped in a nightmare with no end in sight. A sharp crack across my shoulders jolts me back to reality. The overseer's whip stings, but I bite back a cry. No use giving the bastard the satisfaction. "Pay attention, Roden," he snarls. "Customers don't like distracted slaves." I force a smile, though it feels more like a grimace. "Of course, sir. My apologies." The day drags on, a blur of haggling and hollow promises. I'm steering a potential buyer towards a group of labourers when a nearby conversation catches my ear. "Telling you it's genuine," a gruff voice insists. "Straight from the ruins of Calindria." I inch closer to the merchant's stall, pretending to straighten some nearby wares. Two dark elves stand huddled together, their voices low but excited. "Impossible," the other scoffs. "The volcano's been active for centuries. Nothing could survive that heat." The first elf leans in, eyes gleaming. "That's what makes it so valuable. It's not just any artifact. It's a tear of the 13. I nearly dropped the vase I'm holding. A tear of the 13? I've heard whispers of such things. Crystals said to hold immense magical power, created by the gods themselves. "How did you get your hands on one?" the second elf demands, his skepticism fading to naked greed. The merchant grins, revealing pointed teeth. "Let's just say I have friends in low places, very low places." "When can I see it?" "Patience, my friend. It arrives tomorrow, under heavy guard. Can't risk it falling into the wrong hands, now can we?" I force myself to move away before they notice my eavesdropping. My mind races with possibilities. A tear of the 13, here in Rach. The power such an artifact could hold. Number, I shake my head, trying to dispel the dangerous thoughts. Getting involved with something like that would be suicide. I'm just a slave, powerless and trapped. Better to focus on surviving another day in this hole. But as I return to my post, hawking human lives like animals, the merchant's words echo in my head. A tiny spark of hope flickers to life, fragile but persistent. Maybe, just maybe, this could be my chance at freedom. If I could just get my hands on one, I could bargain my way out of this.
Chapter 3. Chyros. I stand at the edge of Galmlith, my home for centuries, and gaze down at the swirling clouds below. The pull I felt for days grows stronger, an insistent tug at the core of my being. It's time. My fingers trace intricate patterns in the air, weaving a complex tapestry of magical energy. Blue runes ignite across my obsidian skin, pulsing in sync with the spell. A shimmering dome of force encases me, its surface rippling like water. "Here goes nothing," I mutter, taking a deep breath. I step off the edge. The wind howls around my protective barrier as I plummet through the electrical storm that perpetually shrouds Galmalith. Lightning crackles and arcs, but my shield holds firm. The metallic flora of my home gives way to unfamiliar terrain below. As I breach the cloud layer, Protheca's surface comes into view. My breath catches. It's more vibrant, more alive than I ever imagined. Lush forests stretch as far as the eye can see, broken by glittering rivers and towering mountain ranges. I focus my will, channeling arcane energy through my body. The runes on my skin blaze brighter, and I feel the magic coalesce around me. In an instant, I'm no longer falling. I'm streaking towards the ground like a bolt of living lightning. The world blurs around me as I descend at impossible speed. The air within my barrier crackles with ozone, and my hair stands on end from the raw power coursing through me. It's exhilarating and terrifying all at once. I spot a clearing in the forest below and adjust my trajectory. The ground rushes up to meet me, and for a split second I wonder if I've miscalculated. Then, at the last possible moment, I release a pulse of energy that slows my descent. My feet touch down on Prothecan soil, sending up a small cloud of dust. The protective barrier dissipates, and I take my first breath of the planet's air. It's rich and heavy, with unfamiliar scents, earth and vegetation so different from the metallic tang of Galmalith. I straighten up, my silver eyes wide as I take in my surroundings. Everything is new, strange, and utterly fascinating. The pull that brought me here thrums insistently, urging me onward. Well, I say to myself, a grin tugging at the corners of my mouth. Let's see what secrets you're hiding, Protheca. I take a deep breath, letting the unfamiliar air fill my lungs. The magical energy here is different, vibrant, raw. It hums through the earth beneath my feet, pulses in the air around me, and thrums in the very cells of my body. On Galmalith, magic feels like an extension of me, but this is more free-flowing, something teasing the chaos magic in my veins. My runes flare in response, drinking in the energy greedily. I close my eyes, focusing on the sensations. The magic here doesn't just flow. It surges, ebbs, and swirls in complex patterns I've never encountered before. It's intoxicating. I open my eyes, taking in the dense forest around me. The trees tower overhead, their canopies blocking out most of the sunlight. What little filters through casts dappled shadows on the forest floor. The vegetation is lush, almost oppressively so. Vines as thick as my arm snake up tree trunks, and ferns larger than any I've seen before carpet the ground. A sound catches my attention, a low, rhythmic pulsing that seems to come from the earth itself. I kneel, placing my palm flat on the ground. The sensation is immediate and overwhelming. My magic courses through the soil like blood through veins, following paths and ley lines I can barely comprehend. Fascinating, I murmur, standing up and brushing dirt from my hands. I reach out with my senses, probing the magical currents around me. There's something off about this place. The energy feels tainted somehow, as if corrupted by some malevolent force. It leaves a bitter taste in the back of my throat. A rustling in the underbrush snaps me back to alertness. I tense, ready for anything. The magical energy here is unpredictable. Who knows what kind of creatures it might spawn? I tense, my senses on high alert as the rustling in the underbrush grows louder. My runes pulse with anticipation, ready to channel magic at a moment's notice. Suddenly, a creature bursts from the foliage, all teeth and claws and matted fur. It's unlike anything I've ever seen. A twisted amalgamation of beast and magic. Its body is that of a large feline, but its fur crackles with electricity, and two extra heads sprout from its shoulders, one reptilian and one avian. All 6 eyes lock onto me, glowing with an unnatural hunger. Well, aren't you an interesting specimen? I mutter, falling into a defensive stance. The beast lets out a bone-chilling roar, and as if on cue, more creatures emerge from the shadows. A pair of warg-like beasts with bark for skin and leaves for fur. A serpent with scales that shimmer and change color like oil on water. And something that looks like it might have once been a lichen. But now its flesh is translucent, revealing pulsing organs and bones that glow with an eerie light. I'm surrounded, outnumbered, and facing creatures I've never encountered before. But I'm not worried. I'm thrilled. Let's dance. I grin, my eyes gleaming with excitement. The 3-headed beast lunges first. I sidestep its attack, my hands weaving complex patterns in the air. A shimmering barrier springs up between us, and the creature slams into it with a yelp of surprise. The barkworks are next, circling me warily. I focus my will, drawing on the chaotic magic of this place. The ground beneath their feet suddenly turns to quicksand, trapping them in place. The serpent strikes from behind, but I'm ready. I spin, catching it mid-lunge with a blast of freezing energy. It falls to the ground, encased in a shell of ice. The translucent Lycar charges, its glowing bones pulsing faster with each step. I reach out with my magic, feeling for the currents of energy flowing through its body. With a twist of my will, I reverse the flow. The creature stumbles, its own magic turning against it. But the three-headed beast isn't done. It shakes off its daze and leaps, electricity arcing from its fur. I drop to the ground, rolling beneath its attack. As I come up, I release a burst of pure magical force that sends it flying back into the trees. Panting, I survey the scene. The creatures are subdued but not defeated. I could finish them off, but that's not why I'm here. Instead, I reach out with my magic, probing the strange energies that have warped these beasts. It's complex, a weave of natural magic and something else, something darker, more primal. I can feel it trying to resist my touch, but I push harder, unraveling its secrets. With a surge of will, I purge the corrupting influence from the creatures. The effect is immediate. The extra heads on the feline beast wither and fall away. The barkwarg's wooden skin softens back into fur. The serpent's scales settle into a single iridescent hue. The Likar's flesh becomes opaque once more, its bones no longer glowing. The beasts shake themselves, as if waking from a long dream. They regard me with wary curiosity now, rather than hunger. I lower my defenses, showing them I mean no harm. "There," I say softly. "That's better, isn't it?" I take a moment to catch my breath, still marveling at the strange creatures I've encountered. As they slink back into the shadows of the forest, I feel the pull that brought me here reassert itself. It's stronger now, more insistent. "Right," I mutter, orienting myself. "Time to find out what's calling me." I close my eyes, focusing on the magical current. It tugs at me, urging me deeper into the continent. With a deep breath, I set off, pushing through the dense underbrush. The forest seems to grow thicker as I travel, the trees pressing in closer, their branches intertwining overhead to block out most of the light. The air grows heavy, thick with the scent of decay and something else. Something that makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I press on, following the pull. It leads me over rushing streams and up steep inclines. I encounter more twisted creatures along the way, but none as aggressive as the first group. They watch me warily from the shadows, their eyes glowing with an unnatural light. As I travel, the corruption in the magical energy grows stronger. It's like a sickness in the land, spreading its tendrils through the soil and air. I can taste it on my tongue, bitter and acrid. What could be causing this? I wonder aloud, my voice swallowed by the oppressive silence of the forest. After what feels like hours of travel, I crest a hill and pause. Below me, nestled in a deep valley, I see lights. Not the soft glow of natural bioluminescence, but the harsh flicker of torches and magical illumination. The pool leads directly to this place. As I draw closer, I begin to make out structures. A sprawling complex of tents, makeshift buildings, and winding alleyways. The magical corruption is strongest here, pulsing like a festering wound. I hear voices now, a cacophony of different languages and dialects. The air is thick with the scent of unwashed bodies, exotic spices, and something metallic that might be blood. It looks like a market. Looks like it's time for me to go see some wares.
Prothika is a dark and dangerous world.
My parents sold me to the dark market.
I am the avatar of chaos, and nothing will stop me from fulfilling the prophecy.
And the quest for godhood has made it even darker.
Looks like you're the only one left. Take a step forward.
Delia only seeks her freedom.
A gilded cage is still a cage.
But Thorn has something else in mind for her.
It's her. She's the woman from the prophecy. My key to godhood.
Will they be able to escape their fate? Get every episode from worldsofprothika.com right now. Get the series bundle and score a 70% discount. Prothika's magic is eternal, and this series is just the beginning.
Chapter 4. Naia. I bite my lip, fighting back tears as I adjust the collar on a young woman's neck. Her eyes, wide with fear, meet mine for a brief moment. I want to tell her it'll be okay, but we both know that's a lie. "Don't look them in the eye," I mutter, giving her shoulders a gentle squeeze. "They don't like 'em proud." The auction block looms before us, a raised wooden platform where dreams go to die. I've been here countless times, but it never gets easier. The stench of sweat and despair hangs thick in the air, mingling with the acrid smoke from torches lining the walls. Next up, a fine specimen from the Orthani. The auctioneer's booming voice makes me flinch. Young, strong, and ready for hard labour. I guide the trembling woman forward, my hand on the small of her back. She stumbles slightly, and I catch her elbow. "Easy now," I whisper. Deep breaths. The crowd's hungry eyes devour her as she steps into the torchlight. Merchants, nobles, and all manner of dark creatures appraise her like a piece of meat. I've seen that look 1,000 times, and it still makes my skin crawl. "Turn," I instruct softly, and she obeys, pivoting slowly to give the buyers a full view. Her chains clink with each movement, a grim reminder of her newfound status. As bids start flying, I retreat to the shadows where the next lot waits. An old man, his beard streaked with grey, stands hunched and defeated. I straighten his tattered shirt, trying to make him look presentable. "They might go easy on you," I lie, knowing full well that age means nothing to these vultures. "Just try to look strong." He nods, a single tear rolling down his weathered cheek. I wipe it away quickly before anyone notices. Weakness only drives the price down, and a lower price often means a crueler fate. The day drags on, each sale chipping away at what's left of my soul. By the time the sun sets, my throat is raw from barking instructions, and my hands are sore from adjusting chains and wiping away tears. I'm herding another group of slaves onto the auction block when a meaty hand clamps down on my shoulder. The stench of cheap ale and sweat assaults my nostrils as I'm yanked backward. "This one's a pretty little thing," a gravelly voice slurs in my ear. "How much for a taste, eh?" I spin around, coming face to face with a hulking brute of a man. His bloodshot eyes roam over me, a lecherous grin splitting his ruddy face. My stomach churns. "I'm not for sale," I snap, trying to wrench free. His grip tightens, fingers digging into my flesh. "Everything's for sale in the dark market, sweetheart." He chuckles, pulling me closer. "Just name your price." Panic rises in my throat as I scan the crowd for help. But in this sea of monsters and merchants, who would lift a finger for a lowly slave handler? For once, where are my overseers? They won't like someone touching what is theirs. "Let go," I hiss, stomping on his foot. He yelps but doesn't release me. "Feisty." He laughs. "I like that. Makes it more fun to break 'em." His free hand paws at my waist, and I feel bile rise in my throat. I twist, searching for an escape, but we're hemmed in by the pressing throng of market-goers. "I said I'm not merchandise," I snarl, driving my elbow into his gut. He grunts, doubling over, but his grip on my arm remains iron-tight. "You little bitch," he growls, straightening up. His eyes flash with anger, and I know I've made a mistake. In this place, defiance is met with brutality. He raises his hand, and I brace for the blow. But before it can land, a voice cuts through the din. I freeze, my heart plummeting as a familiar voice cuts through the chaos. Now, gentlemen, let's not be hasty." The silky tone belongs to Malak, one of the dark elves who oversees this wretched place. His violet eyes gleam with cruel amusement as he saunters towards us, parting the crowd like a shark through water. "While it's true that our little Naia isn't officially on the market," Malak continues, his gaze raking over me, "everything does indeed have a price here." The brute's grip on my arm loosens slightly, but I'm too terrified to move. Malek's words hang in the air like a death sentence. "My lord," I begin, my voice trembling. "Please, I've served faithfully." Malek holds up a hand, silencing me with a look. "Hush, pet. The elves are talking." He turns to the man who accosted me, appraising him with a raised eyebrow. "You seem quite taken with our Naia. She is rather unique, isn't she? One of our most valuable assets." My breath catches in my throat. I've seen that calculating look in Malek's eyes before, usually right before he strikes a particularly lucrative deal. This can't be happening. "How much?" The brute grunts, his meaty fingers digging into my flesh once more. Malek's lips curl into a predatory smile. "Well now, that depends. Are we talking about a temporary arrangement or something more permanent?" The world spins around me as their voices fade to a dull roar in my ears. This can't be real. After years of servitude, of walking the razor's edge between compliance and survival, am I to be tossed aside? "I'm thinking permanent." The brute leers, his hot breath on my neck making me shudder. "Been looking for a pretty little thing to keep me company." Malek's eyes glitter with greed. "In that case, we're talking about a significant investment. Naia here is exceptionally skilled in the art of persuasion. Her value to our operation is not insignificant. I want to scream, to fight, to run. But years of conditioning have taught me the futility of resistance. My legs feel like lead, my throat constricted by an invisible noose. "Name your price," the brute growls, his impatience palpable. Malek strokes his chin, feigning contemplation. "Let's start at, say, 500 jetons?" The crowd around us gasps and murmurs. It's an astronomical sum, more than most of the slaves here would fetch combined. For a moment, I dare to hope it's too steep. But the brute merely grunts, reaching for a pouch at his belt. Done. My world crumbles around me as Malek's smile widens. "Excellent. Shall we discuss the finer points of the transaction in my office?" As they begin to move away, dragging me along like a prized trophy, I finally find my voice. "Please," I choke out, tears streaming down my face. "Don't do this. I'll work harder, Malek's hand strikes out, silencing me with a stinging slap. "I said hush, pet. Your new master will have to teach you some manners, it seems." The reality of my situation crashes over me like a tidal wave. After years of barely clinging to some semblance of autonomy, I'm about to lose what little freedom I had left. The dark market, as horrible as it is, has been the only home I've known for years. And now I'm being sold to a stranger whose appetites I can only imagine with growing horror. I wrench my arm free, adrenaline surging through my veins. Without a second thought, I bolt. "Stop her!" Malek's enraged voice cuts through the din of the market. I dodge and weave through the crowd, my heart pounding in my ears. Merchants curse as I knock over their wares. Slaves gasp and shrink away. I don't care. All that matters is escape. The market's labyrinthine layout, once a source of frustration, now becomes my ally. I duck down a narrow alley, the stench of rotting garbage assaulting my nostrils. Behind me, I hear the heavy footfalls of pursuit. "There she is!" a gruff voice shouts. I risk a glance over my shoulder. 2 burly market guards are gaining on me, their faces twisted with anger. I push myself harder, my lungs burning. Left, right, another left. I have no plan, no destination, just an overwhelming need to run, to get away from the nightmare that awaits me if I'm caught. I burst out of the alley into a wider street. Torchlight flickers, casting grotesque shadows on the walls. For a moment, I'm disoriented. Then I spot a gap between 2 dilapidated buildings and dash towards it. It's a tight squeeze. Splinters dig into my skin as I force my way through. I emerge on the other side, hope flaring in my chest as I see an open stretch before me. But that hope dies as quickly as it was born. I skid to a halt, my heart plummeting. It's a dead end. High stone walls loom on 3 sides, mocking my bid for freedom. The only way out is the way I came in. No, 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 I mutter, spinning around. Too late. The gap I squeeze through is already blocked by the hulking forms of the market guards. Their eyes gleam with malicious triumph as they advance. Nowhere to run now, little Roden, one of them sneers, cracking his knuckles. I back up until I feel cold stone against my spine. My chest heaves as I struggle to catch my breath, eyes darting frantically for any possible escape. There is none.
Chapter 5. Chyros. Pulling the hood of my cloak up, I step into the fringes of what I heard another merchant call the dark market, my senses immediately assaulted by a cacophony of sights, sounds, and smells. The air here is thick with magic, a palpable force that makes my skin prickle and the runes on my body pulse with increased intensity. The market sprawls before me, a labyrinth of narrow alleys and crooked buildings. Flickering torches cast long shadows, creating a dance of light and darkness that seems to mirror the very nature of this place. Cloaked figures hurry past, their faces hidden beneath heavy hoods. The secrecy is almost tangible, a silent agreement among the patrons to mind their own business. As I move deeper into the market, the magical pull I've been following grows stronger. But there's something else now, a disturbance in the energy field, like ripples in a once calm pond. It's subtle at first, barely noticeable beneath the overwhelming magical aura of the market itself. I pause, focusing my senses. The disturbance is growing, becoming more erratic. It's not just a fluctuation in the ambient magic. This feels alive, desperate. My silver eyes narrow as I try to pinpoint the source. "Out of my way!" a gruff voice snarls. A burly orc shoulder checks me as he passes, but I barely notice. My attention is fixed on the growing magical anomaly. I weave through the crowd, following the turbulent energy. It leads me down a particularly dark alley, away from the main thoroughfare. The sounds of the market fade, replaced by an eerie silence broken only by my own footsteps. The disturbance peaks suddenly, a spike of magical energy so intense it makes my runes flare bright blue. Something's wrong. Very wrong. I round the corner, and the scene unfolds before me like a twisted tapestry. A young woman, her curly black hair wild and unkempt, sprints down the alley. Her green eyes are wide with terror, darting frantically as she searches for an escape. She's small, lithe, her movements graceful despite the panic evident in every step. Behind her, 3 hulking figures give chase. Market guards, I assume, their faces contorted with rage and exertion. They're gaining on her, their heavy boots thundering against the cobblestones. "Get back here, you little bitch!" one of them roars, his voice echoing off the narrow walls. The woman doesn't look back, doesn't slow down. She's running on pure adrenaline, her breath coming in ragged gasps. I can feel the desperation rolling off her in waves, a primal fear that resonates with the magical disturbance I've been tracking. She's almost to me now, her eyes locked on the path ahead. For a moment I think she might run right past, but at the last second she veers sharply to the left. It's a dead end. The realization hits her at the same moment it hits me. She skids to a stop, her hands flying out to brace against the wall. Her head whips around, searching for another way out, but there's nothing. Just smooth, unforgiving stone on 3 sides. The guards slow their approach, cruel smiles spreading across their faces. They know they have her cornered. There's nowhere left for her to run. I can't hear them from here, but I can tell they are taunting her. The woman presses her back against the wall, her chest heaving. Despite the fear in her eyes, there's a defiance there too. She's not going down without a fight. The guards laugh, a harsh, grating sound that sets my teeth on edge at something she says. They start to close in, their intentions clear in every predatory step. The magical disturbance I've been tracking reaches a fever pitch. It's almost like it is forcing me forward. I stand frozen, caught between the instinct to intervene and the knowledge that I shouldn't get involved. But as I watch the terror and determination warring on the woman's face, I feel something stir within me. The lead guard reaches for her, his meaty hand stretching out to grab her arm. The woman tenses, ready to fight or flee, though there's nowhere left to go. I clench my fists, decision made. With a fluid motion, I step out of the shadows, my cloak billowing behind me. The runes on my skin pulse with barely contained energy as I draw upon my Sazgoroth magic. "Gentlemen," I call out, my voice low and dangerous, "I suggest you reconsider your actions." The guards whirl around, startled by my sudden appearance. The woman's eyes widen, a flicker of hope crossing her face. I don't give them time to react. With the twist of my wrist, I weave an intricate pattern in the air. The alley shimmers, reality bending to my will. Suddenly, the dead end isn't so dead anymore. Where once there was a solid wall, now stands a yawning chasm, flames licking at its edges. The guards stumble back, confusion and fear etched on their faces. "What the hell?" one of them snarls, his hand instinctively reaching for his weapon. I smirk, channeling more power into the illusion. The flames grow higher, more intense. The heat feels real, sweat beading on the guards' foreheads. The woman presses herself against the wall, her eyes darting between me and the illusory inferno. "You might want to step back," I warn, my voice dripping with mock concern. "Wouldn't want anyone to get burned." As if on cue, a tendril of flame snakes out, licking at the closest guard's boot. He yelps, jumping back and colliding with his companions. The illusion is perfect. He even smells singed leather. I take a step forward, and the ground beneath our feet begins to tremble. Cracks appear in the cobblestones, spreading like a web. The guards struggle to keep their balance as the earth seems to shift beneath them. "What sorcery is this?" the lead guard demands, his earlier bravado crumbling in the face of my magic. It's clear he only knows the basics. I don't answer. Instead, I raise my hands, palms out. The air around us thickens, shimmering with barely contained power. The runes on my body glow brighter, casting eerie shadows across the alley. From the cracks in the ground, spectral hands emerge, grasping at the guards' ankles. They're not real, of course, just another layer of the illusion. But the guards don't know that. They cry out in terror, trying to shake off the appendages. The woman watches all of this with wide-eyed amazement, her earlier fear momentarily forgotten. I catch her eye and give her a subtle nod. She seems to understand, inching away from the wall and towards me. "Last chance!" I growl at the guards, my voice echoing unnaturally in the confined space. "Leave now or face the consequences." The guards look at each other, then back at me. The fight has gone out of them, replaced by primal fear. Without another word, they turn and run, stumbling over each other in their haste to escape. As the guards flee, I turn my attention to the woman. She's staring at me, a mix of awe and wariness in her green eyes. I extend my hand, knowing we need to move quickly before anyone else arrives. "We need to leave. Now." She hesitates for a split second, then reaches out. The moment her fingers touch mine, a jolt of energy surges through me. It's like nothing I've ever felt before, a rush of warmth, of connection, of something I can't contemplate right now. The runes on my skin flare brightly, responding to this unexpected spark. I inhale sharply, my silver eyes widening in surprise. The woman feels it too. I can see it in the way her breath catches, the slight widening of her pupils. For a moment, we're frozen, connected by more than just our joined hands. But there's no time to dwell on this strange sensation. I can hear shouts in the distance, more guards, no doubt. Pushing aside my shock, I focus on the teleportation spell. It's complex magic, especially with a passenger, but the energy coursing between us seems to amplify my power. I pull her close, my free hand wrapping around her waist. She gasps at the sudden proximity, but doesn't pull away. I can feel her heartbeat, rapid and strong, against my chest. "Hold on," I murmur, my voice low and intense. The air around us begins to shimmer and distort. The dark alley blurs, colors swirling together like paint in water. The woman tightens her grip on my hand, her other arm instinctively wrapping around my waist. There's a moment of vertigo, a sensation of falling and flying at the same time. The world around us dissolves into pure energy, bright and chaotic. I feel the woman bury her face against my chest, overwhelmed by the intensity of the teleportation. And then, as suddenly as it began, it's over. The chaos settles, reality reforming around us. We're standing in a small clearing just outside the market's boundaries. The dense forest of Rach surrounds us, a stark contrast to the cramped alleys we just left. I release my hold on the woman, but our hands remain clasped. The connection between us hums with residual energy, like an echo of the teleportation spell. It's distracting in a way I've never experienced before.
Earth is pretty much a desolate wasteland since the orcs came over from Protheka, and being a woman, the best you can hope is to be someone's property. Now, after my curvy body catches Korthar's eye, he'll claim me, and I'll serve him, in any way he pleases.
You're mine now. Listen to this story and more when you get the complete Orc Warriors of Protheka audiobook and ebook bundle.
40 books, 19 audiobooks, 19 ebooks. You even get 1 free novella and 1 free audiobook.
All for a shocking 90% off.
Protheka's magic is eternal, and the complete Orc Warriors of Protheka bundle will bring over 100 hours of that magic to you. Chapter 6. Naia. I stumble, my head spinning as the world shifts around me. One moment I'm cornered in a dingy alley, the next I'm... where? Trees loom overhead, their branches blotting out the sky. The stench of the market fades, replaced by the earthy scent of moss and decaying leaves. What the hell? I scramble to my feet, whirling to face my rescuer, captor. The demon towers over me, his obsidian skin gleaming in the dappled sunlight. Those silver eyes bore into me, and I fight the urge to shrink away. Stay back! I snatch up a fallen branch, brandishing it like a weapon. I don't know what you want, but... You're not what you seem! His deep voice cuts through my panic. There's magic in you, girl. Wild, untamed, but unmistakable. I bark out a laugh. Magic? Me? You're cracked. I'm just a slave, nothing special. But even as the words leave my mouth, memories flicker through my mind. The time I wished for rain during a drought, and storm clouds gathered within the hour. The lock that sprung open when I desperately needed to hide from a cruel overseer. The cuts and bruises that healed faster than they should. No, I whisper, shaking my head. That's impossible. Is it? The demon takes a step closer, and I tighten my grip on the branch. Think. Have there been moments you couldn't explain? Times when the impossible became possible? I lower the branch, my mind reeling. The demon's words echo in my head, stirring up memories I'd long buried. There was this time. I start, my voice barely above a whisper. I was maybe 12. One of the other street kids, Darrow, he'd stolen food from me. I was so angry, I wished he'd choke on it. My eyes widen as I recall what happened next. And he did. Started coughing and sputtering right there in the alley. I thought it was just coincidence, but... The demon nods, encouraging me to continue. Then there was the storm. I run a hand through my hair, tugging at the tangled curls. We'd had no rain for months. Crops were dying, People were getting desperate. I remember standing on the roof of an abandoned building, looking out over Ter, and just wishing, begging the sky for rain. I swallow hard. The clouds rolled in so fast it was like magic, but that's crazy, right? But even as I say it, more memories surface. The time I'd been cornered by a pack of feral dogs, only for them to suddenly whimper and slink away. The night I'd been freezing in a doorway and felt warmth spread through my body, like I'd been wrapped in an invisible blanket. But it's never worked on a dark elf, because they have magic too. Oh gods, I breathe, sinking to my knees. All this time, how did I not see it? The demon crouches beside me, his massive form surprisingly graceful. You've felt it, haven't you? A power thrumming beneath your skin, begging to be released. I want to deny it, to run, to wake up from this fever dream. But something in his words resonates, striking a chord deep within me. I don't understand. Neither do I, fully, he admits. But I sensed it the moment I saw you. You're no ordinary slave. You're something more. The branch slips from my fingers. Who are you? What do you want from me? I'm Chyros, and you're coming with me. His tone leaves no room for argument. I scramble to my feet, backing away. No, the hell I am not. I don't care what kind of magic you think I have, I'm not. His hand shoots out, grabbing my wrist. A jolt of energy courses through me, and I gasp as glowing blue runes appear on my skin, mirroring the ones on his body. What are you doing? I try to pull away, but it's like my arm is fused to his. Ensuring you don't run, Chyros growls. His silver eyes flash with determination. I didn't come all this way to let you slip away. The runes pulse, spreading up my arm and across my chest. It doesn't hurt exactly, but it feels wrong, like something foreign is invading my body. Stop it! I shout, panic rising in my throat. Take it off! Chyros releases my wrist, but the runes remain. I can't, not until I'm certain you won't flee. I rub at the glowing marks, but they don't smudge or fade. What is this? What have you done to me? A binding spell, he explains, his voice softening slightly. It won't harm you, but it will prevent you from straying too far from me. And before you get any ideas, it can't be broken by anyone but me. You can't just own me. I spit the words at him, fury replacing fear. I'm not some pet you can leash. This isn't about ownership, Chyros says, frustration evident in his voice. It's about necessity. Your magic is raw, untrained. You're a beacon to any creature sensitive to such things. And trust me, there are far worse beings out there who would love to get their hands on you. I want to argue, to rage against this new captivity, but exhaustion suddenly washes over me, my legs trembling beneath me. I sink to the ground, cradling my marked arm against my chest. Why me? I whisper, looking up at the demon towering over me. What makes me so special? Chyros crouches down, bringing himself to my eye level. That's what I intend to find out, but I can't do it alone, and I can't risk you running off before we have answers. I thrash against Chyros, my fists pounding uselessly against his broad chest. Let me go, you overgrown demon bastard. He doesn't even flinch. Those silver eyes narrow, and before I can blink, he's moving. Strong hands grip my waist, and suddenly I'm airborne. The world spins, and I find myself draped unceremoniously over his shoulder like a sack of grain. Put me down! I screech, kicking my legs wildly. My heel connects with his stomach, but it's like hitting a brick wall. He doesn't even grunt. Not a chance, Chyros growls, his grip tightening. I'm not leaving you behind. I squirm, trying to wriggle free, but his arm is like an iron band across my thighs. Blood rushes to my head, making me dizzy. The forest floor sways beneath me as he starts walking. I'll scream, I threaten, pounding my fists against his back. I'll bring every dark elf and beast for miles down on us. Go ahead, he says, and I can hear the smirk in his voice. My magic will muffle any sound you make. Scream all you want, little one. No one will hear you. Fury burns through me. I grab a fistful of his long white hair and yank hard. Don't call me that like I'm a child. You could at least call me my name. Chyros stumbles just for a moment, and I feel a surge of triumph, but then his hand comes down on my bottom with a resounding smack. I yelp, more from surprise than pain. That's enough, he snarls. Keep it up, and I'll bind your hands too. I go limp, seething. The glowing runes on my arm pulse in time with my racing heart. I'm trapped, truly trapped, and the realization makes me want to cry. But I refuse to give him the satisfaction of seeing me break. Where are you taking me? I ask, hating how small my voice sounds. To find the reason I was called down here. I snort. Right, because I'm supposed to trust the demon who just kidnapped me. His shoulder shifts beneath me as he shrugs. Trust me or don't, it doesn't change the fact that you're coming with me. I close my eyes, fighting back tears of frustration. The forest moves beneath us as Chyros strides onward, carrying me to who knows where. And there's not a damn thing I can do about it.
Chapter 7. Chyros. After hours of walking, I set Naia down on the forest floor, her small frame tense with anger. I'll almost miss having her pressed against me, that perky behind in my peripheral. She glares at me, green eyes flashing with defiance. I ignore her seething silence and survey our surroundings. Towering trees loom overhead, their gnarled branches reaching for the darkening sky. The air hangs heavy with the scent of damp earth and decaying vegetation. Shadows lengthen, transforming familiar shapes into menacing silhouettes. We'll camp here for the night, I declare, my voice leaving no room for argument. I raise my hands, silver eyes gleaming as I channel my power. Blue runes ignite across my obsidian skin, pulsing with arcane energy. The air shimmers as I weave a complex lattice of protective wards around our makeshift campsite. Glowing sigils materialize in the air, etching themselves into tree trunks and floating above the forest floor. Each symbol pulses with a different hue, crimson for danger detection, azure for sound dampening, emerald for visual distortion. The spells interlock, forming an impenetrable dome of magical energy. That should keep out any unwanted visitors, I mutter, satisfied with my handiwork. I turn to face my reluctant companion, who's huddled against a moss-covered log, watching me warily. I remember her words from earlier, and I try to lessen her anger. You got a name, little one? I ask, my tone softer than before. Her jaw clenches, eyes narrowing. For a moment, I think she won't answer. Naia! She finally snarls, spitting out the word like she hopes it'll burn me. I nod, studying her. The magical energy I sensed earlier still pulses beneath her skin, a mystery waiting to be unraveled. Well, Naia, I say, crouching down to her level. Like it or not, we're stuck with each other for now, so why don't you just calm down? No, she snaps like the petulant child she told me not to compare her to. I can't help but chuckle at Naia's fiery outburst. Her spirit's as wild as her curly black hair, and I find myself oddly drawn to it. You can't just force me to do what you want! She snaps, her green eyes blazing with defiance. I take a step closer, towering over her petite frame. The air between us crackles with tension, and I notice her breath catch as I invade her personal space. Can I, little one? I croon, my voice low and husky. I saved you from a fate worse than death back there. I think that earns me some latitude. I reach out, trailing a finger along her jawline. She flinches but doesn't pull away, her skin warm beneath my touch. I've noticed the way her eyes scraped along my body, not to mention the way that my skin zaps every time we touch. It has to mean something. I can do whatever I want, I continue, leaning in close enough to feel her quickened breath on my face. Whatever I want. Her pupils dilate, and I catch the slight parting of her lips. Despite her anger, there's no mistaking the attraction simmering beneath the surface. I can smell it on her, a heady mix of fear and desire. And right now, I whisper, my lips nearly brushing her ear, I want you to stop fighting this. Whatever it is, between us. Naia's body trembles, caught between the urge to flee and the pull of something primal. I pull back slightly, meeting her gaze. The fire in her eyes hasn't dimmed, but there's something else there now, a hunger that mirrors my own. I'm not, she stammers, her resolve wavering. I smirk, knowing I've cracked her defenses. You're not what, little one? Not attracted to me? We both know that's a lie. My hand moves to cup her cheek, and this time she leans into my touch ever so slightly. The air around us feels charged, like the moment before lightning strikes. Tell me you don't feel it, I challenge, my thumb tracing her lower lip. Tell me you don't want this as much as I do. Naia's breath hitches, her body swaying towards mine almost imperceptibly. The tension between us is a living thing, coiling tighter with each passing second. Sorry for the interruption. I know you were gearing up for a steamy scene, but it's way too hot for this platform.
If we want to keep sharing our stories for free, we have to abide by this platform's guidelines.
To get the full unabridged audiobook, go to worldsofprothika.com.
Browse through unabridged audiobooks, countless ebooks and bundles offered at a discount.
If the thought of me whispering all the dirty details into your ear isn't enticing enough, use discount code YouTube30 to get 30% off of all digital products.
Story after story, audiobook after audiobook, the worlds of Prothika are waiting for you.
Prothika's magic is eternal.
But unabridged, it's unforgettable. Chapter 8. Naia. I wake with a start, my body tensing as unfamiliar warmth envelops me. Chyros' arms. The events of last night crash over me like a tidal wave, and I squeeze my eyes shut, willing the memories away. But they persist, vivid and undeniable. My heart races, a mix of emotions churning inside me. Confusion, anger, a little bit of shame, and the desperate need to have him inside me again despite the way he took me over and over last night. I'd hated him. Or at least, I thought I did. He'd grabbed me, bound me to him with his magic, treated me like some possession he could just claim. But even as I lashed out, there was this pull. A connection I couldn't explain or ignore, no matter how hard I tried. It terrified me, still does. I've never given in to anyone so fast. Never let my guard down like that. Years on the streets of Terre, then in the dark market, they taught me better. Trust no one. Rely on no one but yourself. But Chyros. He broke through those walls like they were nothing. I shift slightly, feeling the warmth of his skin against mine, the rise and fall of his chest. My body aches in places I'd forgotten could ache, a reminder of our frenzied coupling. Heat rises to my cheeks as fragments of memory flash through my mind. His touch, his taste, the way he made me feel. Wanted, desired, safe. It's that last one that scares me most. I want to hate him, to push him away and run. But I can't deny the way my body relaxes into his embrace, how right it feels to be here. And that terrifies me more than any threat the dark market ever posed. What am I supposed to do with these feelings? This connection? I don't even know who I am anymore. What I am, if Chyros is right about the magic he sensed in me. I squeeze my eyes shut tighter, willing the world away. But Chyros is still here, solid and real. His presence impossible to ignore. and deep down, a part of me doesn't want to. Chyros stirs behind me. His silver eyes immediately land on me, and his hand starts to make small circles on my skin. "Sleep well, little one." He smirks, and I fight the urge to throw something at him. I told him to quit calling me that. "Like a rock," I grumble, stretching. Every muscle protests, reminding me of our night together. A very sore rock. Chyros chuckles, the sound sending a shiver down my spine. We should get moving. There's much to discuss. We break camp quickly, and I'm relieved when Chyros doesn't try to carry me again. As we walk, he explains more about the magic he sensed in me. "It's raw, untamed," he says. "But with practice, you could harness it." I snort. Right, because I'm secretly some powerful sorceress. Stranger things have happened. Chyros pauses, his expression thoughtful. "Try this. Close your eyes and focus on the energy around you." I roll my eyes but comply. At first, there's nothing. Then, slowly, I become aware of a faint hum. It reminds me of the market on busy days, a constant buzz of activity just beneath the surface. I feel something, I admit reluctantly. Chyros nods. "Good. Now try to grab hold of that energy. Imagine shaping it into a ball in your hand." I concentrate, picturing the energy coalescing. To my shock, I feel a tingle in my palm. I open my eyes to find a small, flickering orb of light hovering above my hand. "Holy crap," I breathe. "Impressive," Chyros says, and I can hear the pride in his voice. "You're a natural." The orb vanishes as my concentration breaks. "So what does this have to do with your magical pull?" "Everything," Chyros explains. "The energy you just tapped into? It's the same force guiding us. Your connection to it might be why I was drawn to you in the market." I raise an eyebrow. "And here I thought it was my charming personality." Chyros laughs, a rich sound that warms me from the inside out. "That too, little one. That too." As we continue our journey, Chyros teaches me more exercises. It's exhilarating and terrifying all at once. With each small success, I feel a piece of myself clicking into place, a part I never knew was missing. As we walk, our banter continues, lighter now. The attraction between us simmers, a constant undercurrent. But there's something else too, a growing understanding, a partnership forming. We're making good progress through the forest when Chyros suddenly tenses, his hand shooting out to stop me. I open my mouth to protest, but he presses a finger to his lips, silver eyes scanning the trees. That's when I hear it. Voices. My blood runs cold as I recognize the harsh, clipped tones of dark elf slavers. "Damn it," I whisper, panic rising in my throat. "We need to hide." Chyros nods, pulling me behind a thick cluster of bushes. We crouch low, barely daring to breathe as the voices grow louder. "Worth the trip," one slaver says. "The market's always hungry for fresh meat." My stomach churns. I know exactly who they're talking about. Chyros's hand finds mine, squeezing gently. The touch grounds me, keeping the memories at bay. I focus on the warmth of his skin, the steady rhythm of his breathing. The slavers are close now, close enough that I can make out individual words in their native tongue. My time in the market taught me enough to understand the gist. They're discussing their latest acquisitions. One of them pauses near our hiding spot. My heart pounds so hard I'm sure they'll hear it. Chyros tenses beside me, magic crackling at his fingertips. The slaver takes another step. A twig snaps under his boot. Something inside me shifts. It's like a dam breaking, power surging through my veins. Before I can think, I thrust my hand out, willing the energy to do something. A blinding flash erupts from my palm. The slaver stumbles back, crying out in shock and pain. His companions rush to his aid, shouting in confusion. Chyros doesn't hesitate. He grabs my arm, and the world blurs around us as he teleports us away. We materialize deeper in the forest, my legs giving out as soon as we land. What? What was that? I gasp, staring at my trembling hands. Chyros kneels beside me, his expression a mix of concern and excitement. That little one was raw magical potential, and it seems to be growing. What do you mean? He helps me to my feet, steadying me as the world spins. We're moving toward the center of the magic I feel, and I'm starting to think that your powers are connected to wherever we are headed. His words shake me to the core. I open my mouth to argue, but I don't even know what to say. What is waiting for me at the end of this journey?
Chapter 9. Chyros. I can feel it, the magnetic tug of ancient magic pulling at my very essence. It grows stronger with each step we take towards the coast, an invisible force guiding us to our destination. The air crackles with energy, sending tingles across my skin and making my runes pulse with an excited blue glow. Little one, I call to Naia, who's a few paces behind me. Come here. I want you to experience this. She approaches, eyeing me warily. Her wild curls have escaped her braid, framing her face in a halo of dark silk. Even with the dirt and grime of our journey, she's breathtaking. What is it? She asks, her voice a mix of curiosity and suspicion. I reach out and take her hand, ignoring her initial flinch. Close your eyes, I instruct. Focus on your breathing, in and out, slow and steady. She complies, her eyelids fluttering shut. I watch her chest rise and fall as she follows my directions. Now, reach out with your mind. Feel the energy around you. It's like a river of power flowing through the air, the earth, everything. Naia's brow furrows in concentration. I'm not sure I've... Shh. I cut her off gently. Don't think. Just feel. I place my other hand on the small of her back, guiding her forward a few steps. The magical current intensifies, and I see her eyes snap open in surprise. What is that? A smirk tugs at my lips. That, little one, is what I've been following. The pull of ancient magic, leading us to something extraordinary. Naia's green eyes are wide with wonder. It's like a heartbeat, but not just one, thousands, all pulsing together. I nod, impressed by her intuition. Exactly. Now try to pinpoint where it's coming from. Let it guide you. She closes her eyes again, her face a mask of concentration. Slowly she turns, her arm extending to point towards the horizon. There, she says with certainty. It's coming from there. I follow her gaze, seeing a dark shape looming in the distance, an island shrouded in mist and smoke. Calindria, she says, and I know she's naming the island I stare at. Well done, I murmur, unable to keep the pride from my voice. You're a natural. Naia beams at the praise, then quickly schools her features into a more neutral expression. But I've seen it. That flash of joy, of connection. She's starting to trust me, to embrace her newfound abilities. So what now? She asks, crossing her arms over her chest in a defensive posture. I grin, my eyes fixed on the mysterious island ahead. Now, little one, we cross these waters. Our destiny awaits on those shores. I stand at the water's edge, feeling the raw power of the sea crash against the shore. The volcanic island of Calindria looms in the distance, shrouded in mist and smoke. I close my eyes, drawing upon the well of magic within me. Stand back, little one, I warn Naia. She takes a few steps away, her eyes wide with anticipation. I raise my arms, my runes glowing bright blue as I channel my power. The water before us begins to churn and bubble. Slowly, a path emerges. A bridge of shimmering, translucent energy spanning the distance to the island. Holy crap, Naia breathes, echoing her earlier sentiment. I can't help but smirk. Impressed? She rolls her eyes, but I catch the hint of a smile on her lips. It's all right, I guess. Come, I say, holding out my hand. It's perfectly safe, but the magic can be disorienting for those not used to it. Naia hesitates for a moment before slipping her small hand into mine. Her touch sends a jolt through me, and I have to focus to maintain the spell. We step onto the bridge together. It's solid beneath our feet, but I feel Naia tense as she looks down at the churning waves below. Don't look down, I advise, squeezing her hand. Keep your eyes on me or the island ahead. She nods, her grip tightening as we make our way across. The bridge hums with energy, responding to each step we take. I keep a portion of my concentration on maintaining the spell, while the rest of my focus is on Naia. Halfway across, a strong gust of wind buffets us. Naia stumbles, a small cry escaping her lips. I react instantly, pulling her against me and wrapping an arm around her waist. I've got you, I murmur into her hair. She's trembling slightly, but I feel her nod against my chest. We continue on, moving as one. The island grows larger, its ominous presence looming before us. The air grows thicker with ash and smoke, and I create a small barrier around us to filter out the worst of it. Finally, our feet touch solid ground. The moment we're safe on the shore, I release the spell, and the bridge behind us dissolves into mist. Naia takes a deep breath, still pressed against me. That was intense, she says, her voice slightly shaky. I look down at her, a mix of pride and something else. Something warmer, blooming in my chest. You did well. Not many could have made that crossing with such grace. She pulls away, but not before I catch the flush on her cheeks. Yeah, well, I didn't have much choice, did I? I chuckle, turning to face the island's interior. No, I suppose you didn't. But our journey's not over yet. The real challenge awaits us there. I lead Naia towards the base of the towering volcano, its peak shrouded in ominous smoke. The air is thick with ash and sulfur, making each breath a challenge. I maintain a protective barrier around us, filtering out the worst of the noxious fumes. This place, I mutter, more to myself than to Naia. It's saturated with ancient magic. Can you feel it? Naia nods, her eyes wide as she takes in our surroundings. The ground beneath our feet is black and porous, evidence of long-ago lava flows. Steam hisses from cracks in the earth, and in the distance I hear the low rumble of the volcano's core. There's something here, I say, running my hand along a jagged rock formation. Something old, powerful. It's what's been calling to me. We pick our way carefully across the treacherous terrain. The volcanic landscape is alien and foreboding, devoid of life save for a few hardy, twisted plants clinging to existence in this harsh environment. I've heard stories, Naia says, her voice barely above a whisper, about Calindria. They say no one comes here, that it's cursed. I snort. Cursed? No, but protected perhaps. This magic, it's unlike anything I've encountered before. It's as if someone wanted to hide something here. As we round a massive boulder, I spot an oddly shaped outcropping. It's too regular, too perfect to be natural. I approach it, my runes glowing brighter as I near. There, I say, pointing to a series of intricate markings carved into the stone. They're almost invisible, worn by time and the elements. These aren't just decorations, they're wards, powerful ones. I trace the markings with my fingers, feeling the residual magic pulsing beneath my touch. Whoever created these, they were trying to conceal something. Something big. A theory begins to form in my mind. What if there are stones, artifacts of immense power hidden here? Stones that could, could connect realms? Naia looks at me skeptically. Stones? That's what we came all this way for. I shake my head, my excitement growing. Not just any stones. Think about it. The pull I felt, the way your powers manifested. What if there are objects here that could open doorways between worlds? Between Prothika and other places? The implications are staggering. If I'm right, this could change everything we know about the nature of our reality. We need to find a way past these wards, I say, my mind racing with possibilities. The answers we seek, they're here. I can feel it. How do we do that? I roll shoulders, readying my muscles. I'll get started unraveling the complex spellwork, but it will take time.
Chapter 10. Naia. I pick my way across the jagged volcanic rocks, careful not to lose my footing. The air's thick with sulphur, making my eyes water and my throat burn. Behind me, Chyros mutters incantations, his voice a low rumble that blends with the volcano's distant grumbling. "Don't wander too far, little one," he calls out, not looking up from his work. I roll my eyes. I can take care of myself. The terrain's treacherous, all sharp edges and unstable footing, but after years on Rachel's unforgiving streets, I navigate it with practiced ease. My fingers trail along the rough rock face as I explore, feeling for any irregularities. There, a slight indentation. I pause, squinting in the dim light. It's not natural. Too smooth, too purposeful. I trace its edges, feeling it form a perfect circle. "Chyros," I call out. "I think I found something." He doesn't respond, lost in his spellwork. Fine, I'll investigate on my own. I press against the circle, and to my surprise, it gives way. The rock face shudders, then splits open, revealing a hidden passage. Cool air rushes out, a stark contrast to the oppressive heat outside. I hesitate for a moment, then step inside. The passage is narrow, barely wide enough for my shoulders. As my eyes adjust to the darkness, I notice strange symbols etched into the walls. They're not like any language I've seen before, all swirls and jagged lines that seem to shift when I'm not looking directly at them. The tunnel opens up into a small chamber. More symbols cover every inch of the walls here, glowing faintly with an eerie blue light. In the centre stands a stone pedestal, and on it... Holy crap, I breathe. It's a crystal, about the size of my fist. But it's not like any crystal I've ever seen. It seems to pulse with an inner light, cycling through colours I can't even name. As I step closer, I feel a strange pull, like it's calling to me. I reach out, my fingers hovering inches from the crystal's surface. The pull intensifies, and suddenly, the chamber around me dissolves. I'm standing on the same volcanic island, but it's different. The air's clearer, the ground less jagged. Figures move around me. Tall, elegant beings with pointed ears and eyes that shine like starlight. Dark elves, but not like any I've seen before. They're different in a way I can't explain. Godlike. One of them steps forward, his hands weaving intricate patterns in the air. The ground trembles, and I watch in awe as the volcano before us splits open, revealing a cavern within. The scene shifts. I'm inside the newly formed chamber, watching as the dark elves work in perfect harmony. They're crafting something, pouring magic into the very walls. The symbols I saw earlier begin to take shape under their skilled hands. Another shift. The chamber's complete now, and in the centre stands the crystal I just saw. But it's different, dormant, lifeless. The dark elves gather around it, the magic nearly suffocating from the 13 elves gathered together. One elf steps forward, his face etched with determination. He places his hand on the crystal, and I gasp as energy surges through him. His body arches, mouth open in a silent scream, The other elves continue their chant, their voices growing more urgent. Suddenly the air splits open. I'm staring at something. It's like a tear in reality itself, showing glimpses of another world. No, worlds. Countless realms flash by in rapid succession. The elf at the crystal sets it down, his magic clearly dampened. But he's smiling, triumphant. "It is done," he rasps. "The portal is open." The vision fades, and I'm back in the present, my hands still outstretched towards the crystal. My heart's pounding, and I can feel sweat beading on my forehead. "What the hell was that?" I whisper, trying to process everything I've just seen. "Naia!" Chyros' voice echoes through the tunnel, a mix of concern and irritation. "Where are you?" I snap out of my daze, still reeling from the vision. "In here!" I call back, my voice shaky. "You need to see this." Heavy footsteps approach, and Chyros ducks into the chamber, his silver eyes scanning the room before locking onto me. "What did you—" He stops mid-sentence, his gaze drawn to the pulsing crystal. "By the realms," he breathes. "I found a hidden passage," I explain quickly, words tumbling out. "And then this chamber, and the crystal, and when I got close to it—" I pause, taking a deep breath. "Chyros, I saw things. The past, I think. Dark elves, but different. They were creating this place, making the crystal. And then they opened something. A portal, they called it." Chyros' eyes widen, and he steps closer, studying me intently. "You saw all that?" "Just by being near the crystal." I nod, still trying to process it myself. It was like I was there, watching it happen. They used the crystal to tear open reality, I guess. I saw glimpses of other worlds. A slow smile spreads across Chyros' face, a mix of excitement and understanding. "Little one," he says, his voice low and intense, "do you realize what this means? You're a seer." "A what?" "A seer. Someone with the ability to perceive things beyond normal sight. Past, present, future. It's all open to you." He reaches out, gently cupping my face in his hands. "This is why your magic felt so important. You can help me find the portal." I blink, overwhelmed by this revelation. But I don't know how to control it. It just happened. Chyros nods, his expression thoughtful. "We'll work on that. For now, tell me everything you saw. Every detail." My parents sold me to the dark market.
I am the avatar of chaos, and nothing will stop me from fulfilling the prophecy.
Looks like you're the only one left. Take a step forward.
It's her. She's the woman from the prophecy. My key to godhood.
This is Delia. Starting price is 3 ducats.
You will wed soon and restore the Enoch family name.
Okay. I'll lower it down even more. 2 ducats. Who wants to buy Delia for 2 ducats?
She is my mate. Destiny has foretold it.
You don't know anything about me, and you want me to marry you?
You're nothing but a human toy to be used and discarded.
Hold on. How about 1 ducat? Does anyone want her?
A gilded cage is still a cage.
6 ducats. 6 ducats for Delia. I'll give you revenge on your parents if you marry me.
Okay, I'll marry you.
Godhood is mine for the taking. Chapter 11. Chyros. I stand before the shimmering barrier, its intricate magical weave pulsing with ancient power. Naia's at my side, her eyes wide with a mixture of awe and uncertainty. The stone she found thrums with energy in her palm, responding to the magic around us. Little one, focus on that stone. Let its energy flow through you. Naia nods, closing her eyes. I watch as her brow furrows in concentration, sweat beading on her forehead. The runes etched into my skin begin to glow, resonating with the barrier's magic. I place my hands on the invisible wall, feeling the complex layers of spellwork. It's unlike anything I've encountered before, a masterpiece of magical enchantment. Damn, I mutter. This is gonna be a bitch to unravel. I start weaving counterspells, my fingers dancing in intricate patterns. The air crackles with energy, and I feel the first layer of the barrier start to give. Naia, what do you see? Her voice comes out strained. I see patterns, like threads of light all tangled up. Good. Follow those threads. Tell me where they lead. As Naia describes the magical pathways, I adjust my spell work. The barrier fluctuates, weakening in spots before reinforcing itself. I growl. It's fighting back! I push harder, channeling more power into my spells. The runes on my body flare brightly, and I feel the familiar burn of magic coursing through my veins. Suddenly, Naia gasps. Chyros, the stone! It's showing me something! I glance over. The small rock in her hand is glowing, projecting faint images into the air. Ancient symbols dance before our eyes, shifting and rearranging themselves. It's a key, I realize. Naia, focus on those symbols. I need you to project them onto the barrier. She nods, her face a mask of determination. As she concentrates, the symbols grow clearer, overlaying themselves on the shimmering wall of magic. I weave the new information into my spells, feeling the barrier respond. It's like solving a puzzle with 1,000 moving pieces, each one threatening to snap back into place if I lose focus for even a second. Sweat drips down my face as I work, the magic around us growing more intense by the moment. The ground beneath our feet begins to tremble, and I hear Naia's sharp intake of breath. Stay with me, little one, I growl. We're almost there. The barrier flickers, sections of it fading away only to reform. I grit my teeth, pushing harder. Naia's breathing becomes labored beside me, but her concentration doesn't waver. With a final surge of power, I feel the last piece click into place. The barrier shudders, then dissolves in a shower of sparks. As the barrier dissipates, a gust of warm air rushes past us, carrying the scent of sulfur and ancient magic. I grab Naia's hand, pulling her close. Stay alert. We don't know what we're walking into. We step forward, the volcanic rock crunching beneath our feet. The magical pull tugs at my senses, stronger than ever. It leads us to a narrow fissure in the mountainside, barely visible in the dim light. Damn it, I mutter. It's going to be a tight squeeze. I create a small orb of light, sending it floating ahead of us as we squeeze through the opening. The passage twists and turns, the walls pressing in on all sides. Naia's breath comes in short gasps behind me. You okay back there, little one? Just peachy, she grunts. The tunnel suddenly opens up, and we find ourselves in a vast cavern. Stalactites hang from the ceiling like massive teeth, glowing with an eerie, pulsating light. The floor slopes downward, leading to a series of interconnected caves. Holy crap, Naia whispers. I nod, equally awed. The magical energy here is unlike anything I've ever felt, raw, primal, and utterly foreign. We descend deeper into the cave system, following the pull. The air grows thicker, charged with an otherworldly power that makes my skin tingle. Naia's eyes are wide, darting around as if she's seeing things I can't. What do you see? I ask. Shadows, movement, like the cave itself is alive. I tighten my grip on her hand, my other palm ready to cast a defensive spell at a moment's notice. We round a corner and stop dead in our tracks. Before us lies a massive chamber, easily the size of a small city, but it's what's inside that takes my breath away. Swirling, iridescent energy fills the space, moving in complex patterns that defy logic. It's as if we're standing at the edge of a living nebula, colors shifting and blending in a hypnotic dance. The walls of the chamber are covered in pulsating runes, some familiar, others completely alien. "Chyros," Naia breathes, her voice filled with awe and fear. "What is this place?" I shake my head, struggling to comprehend what I'm seeing. I think we found it. The portal. The magical energy whirls around us, tendrils of power reaching out as if to touch us. I can feel it pulling at something deep within me, awakening parts of my magic I never knew existed. Naia gasps, her body tensing. I can feel it too. It's calling to me. I pull her closer, my arm wrapping protectively around her waist. "Stay with me, little one. We need to figure out what this is before we do anything rash." I scan the chamber walls, my eyes drawn to a series of intricate inscriptions carved into the stone. They're unlike any language I've seen before, yet somehow familiar. "Naia, come look at this," I call out, my voice echoing in the vast space. She approaches, her fingers tracing the strange symbols. I think I can read this," she says, her voice filled with surprise. "What? How?" She shakes her head, bewildered. "I don't know, it's like the stone is translating for me." I watch as her eyes move over the inscriptions, widening with each passing moment. "It's talking about stones," she says. "Magical stones hidden on different worlds." My heart races. This is it, the key to understanding the portal's nature. "Go on," I urge. "It says these stones were created by one of the dark elf gods, the Deceiver," Naia continues. "They're spread across multiple realms." "That explains the pull I felt from Galmolith." Naia nods, still focused on the inscriptions. "The stones are connected, forming a network that allows travel between worlds. But it's not just one or two planets. There are more out there." My mind reels at the implications. So, my theories were right. There are other realms beyond what we know. "That's not all," Naia says, her voice growing tense. "The stones are what keep the portal stable. Without them, the connections between worlds would collapse." I run my hand over the rough cave wall, feeling the thrum of magic beneath my palm. So these stones are like anchors, holding the fabric of reality together where it's been pierced. Naia nods, her face pale in the ethereal light of the chamber. "But Chyros, there's more. The inscriptions warn that removing or destroying even one stone could have catastrophic consequences. It could destabilize the entire network." I curse under my breath, the weight of this revelation settling on my shoulders. So we're standing at the center of a cosmic web, held together by these hidden stones. And if anyone were to find and tamper with them, it could tear reality apart, Naia finishes, her voice barely above a whisper.
Chapter 12. Naia. I stare at the inscriptions, my heart pounding. This is it, the gateway to another world, to countless worlds if Chyros is right. The thought both thrills and terrifies me. "Little one," Chyros' deep voice breaks through my trance. "What troubles you?" I turn to face him, taking in his obsidian skin and those piercing silver eyes. How did I end up here? A few days ago, I was a slave in the dark market. Now I'm standing at the edge of everything I've ever known, with a demon who's turned my world upside down. My voice catches. This is all so much. Another world. I've barely seen Prothika. Chyros steps closer, his presence both intimidating and comforting. Change can be frightening, but it can also lead to great things. I nod, unable to tear my gaze from him. I know. It's just... Are you leaving? His eyes narrow. You're worried about being apart? Heat rushes to my cheeks. I mean, you're the only one who understands what's happening to me. These powers, this connection we have. A smirk plays at the corners of his mouth. Is that all? I want to smack that smug look off his face, but instead I find myself moving closer. You're infuriating, you know that. And yet, here you are. His hand cups my cheek, sending a shiver down my spine. Here I am, I whisper. The realization hits me like a ton of bricks. I don't want to leave him. This demon who kidnapped me, bound me to him, and then showed me a world I never knew existed, both literally and figuratively. I bite my lip. So what now? Are you just going to jump in? Chyros frowns, his silver eyes narrowing. It's not that simple, little one. We don't know what's on the other side. But isn't that the whole point? I challenge, crossing my arms. To explore, to find new worlds. He sighs, running a hand through his ethereal white hair. Yes, but we must be cautious. This portal could lead anywhere, to paradise or peril. I can't help but roll my eyes. Oh, now you're worried about danger. Mister, I'll kidnap a human and drag her across the continent. That was different, he growls, stepping closer. I knew the risks then. My heart races at his proximity, but I stand my ground. And you don't now? The great demon, afraid of the unknown. His eyes flash dangerously. I'm not afraid. I'm being pragmatic. Pragmatic, I scoff. Then why am I still here, Chyros? You don't need me anymore. You found your portal. He stiffens, and I know I've hit a nerve. You're still bound to me, he says, but his voice lacks conviction. Please, I snort. We both know you could break that binding in a heartbeat if you wanted to. Chyros' jaw clenches, and for a moment, I think he might lash out. Instead, he turns away. I need your magic, he mutters, and I don't believe him. You don't want to leave me behind, I press, my voice softer now. Admit it. He whirls back, his eyes blazing. And what if I don't? What then, little one? You think you're ready for what's out there? I step closer, my breath catching as I look up at him. I think I'm ready for anything, as long as... I stop myself, but it's too late. Chyros' expression shifts, a mix of triumph and something else, something almost tender. As long as what? He asks, his voice low and dangerous. I open my mouth to respond, but the words die in my throat as the ground beneath us shudders. A deep rumble echoes through the cavern, and my heart leaps into my throat. Chyros, I start, but he's already on high alert, his silver eyes darting around the chamber. The tremor intensifies, and loose rocks clatter down from the ceiling. I stumble, grabbing Chyros' arm to steady myself. The volcano, Chyros growls, his voice tight with tension. It's awakening. Another violent shake sends me sprawling to the ground. The cave floor cracks beneath us, and a wave of searing heat rushes up from the fissures. I scramble to my feet, choking on the acrid smell of sulphur. We need to get out of here, I shout over the deafening roar of the mountain. Chyros grabs my hand, pulling me towards the cave entrance. But as we reach the tunnel, a massive boulder crashes down, blocking our path. I scream, more out of frustration than fear. Damn it! Chyros snarls. He raises his hands, blue runes glowing along his arms as he summons his magic. The boulder trembles but doesn't budge. The chamber shakes violently again. I watch in horror as cracks spiderweb across the ceiling, showering us with debris. The heat is becoming unbearable, sweat pouring down my face and back. I close my eyes, trying to focus through the chaos. My newfound magic pulses beneath my skin, raw and untamed. I've barely begun to understand it, but now it might be our only chance. Chyros! I shout over the rumbling. I think I can help. He turns to me, silver eyes wide with surprise. What are you planning, little one? I don't answer. Instead, I place my palms against the trembling cave wall. The stone feels alive beneath my touch, thrumming with energy. I take a deep breath and reach out with my mind, searching for the threads of magic I've only just begun to sense. There, a web of energy crisscrossing through the rock. I grab hold, willing it to stabilize. The effort is immense, sweat beading on my forehead as I pour everything I have into holding the cave together. That's it, Chyros murmurs, his voice filled with awe. You're doing it, Naia. I grit my teeth, straining to maintain my grip on the magic. I can't hold it forever, I gasp. Chyros steps up beside me, his own magic flaring to life. I feel it intertwine with mine, bolstering my efforts. The tremors begin to subside, the shower of rocks slowing to a trickle. Look, Chyros says, nodding towards the inscriptions. It's reacting to our magic. I turn my head, careful not to break my concentration. The swirling energy pulses in time with our combined power, growing brighter and more defined. What does it mean? I ask, my voice strained. Chyros' eyes gleam with excitement. It's a sign, little one. The portal is calling to us. He lifts his hands, helping to cement my magic in place. Feeling everything click together like it belongs, I slowly lower my hands, panting. We have a little more time to decide, Chyros says, but not long. I blow a piece of hair out of my face, already knowing what my decision will be.
Chapter 13. Chyros. I stare at the instructions for the portal, its swirling energy calling to me. Everything I've worked for, everything I've theorized about, it's right here in front of me. And yet, I turn to look at Naia, her face illuminated by the blooming magic in here. Her eyes are wide, a mix of fear and wonder etched across her features. She's come so far from the frightened slave I first encountered in the dark market. Now she stands tall, her newfound powers crackling at her fingertips. As another jolt shakes the cave, instinctively I reach out to steady her, my hand gripping her arm. I know it would hold for a little longer, a few days most likely. But as I touch Naia, the contact sends a jolt through me, and suddenly everything becomes clear. I don't need her anymore. I found the portal and what called me down here. By all logic, I should step through alone, leaving her behind to face whatever fate awaits her on this dying island. It's what any sensible Sazgaroth would do, but I can't. The mere thought of it feels wrong, like tearing off a limb. It's as if an invisible tether binds us together, defying all reason and self-preservation. Damn it, I mutter, running a hand through my hair. The realization hits me like a punch to the gut, leaving me breathless and off balance. Naia's eyes widen, a mix of confusion and concern etched across her face. What? She asks, her voice barely above a whisper. Chyros, what's wrong? She's my mate. The words echo in my mind, undeniable and earth-shattering. Everything I thought I knew about myself, about my purpose, shifts in an instant. This human woman, this former slave I rescued on a whim, has become essential to me in ways I never imagined possible. The realization hits me like a punch to the gut. All this time I thought I was using her, that she was just a means to an end. But now, faced with the prospect of leaving her behind, I understand. She's become essential to me, not because of her powers or her ability to help me find the portal, but because of who she is. I'm stunned as it hits me, and my possessiveness stirs up. I can't leave her. I can't. And I'm strangled by the sudden aggressive need to keep her by my side and never let her go. Listen to me, little one, I growl, my voice low and intense. I'm not leaving this cave without you. You hear me? Naia's eyes flash with defiance. You can't just decide that for me, Chyros. I'm not your property. I laugh. a harsh sound that echoes off the cave walls. No, you're not my property, but I'm not going anywhere without you. She tries to pull away, but I yank her closer. Our bodies flush against each other. You don't get it, do you? This isn't about what you want. It's about what is. We're bound together now, whether you like it or not. That's nonsense, Naia spits, her green eyes blazing. You can't just claim me like some demon prize. She glares down at the runes. I lean in, my lips brushing her ear. Watch me. You said you could break this bond. I grit my teeth, because I don't want to, and this time, I'm not backing down from that. You've got two choices, little one. Come with me willingly, or I throw you over my shoulder and carry you through myself. Naia's jaw clenches, her entire body rigid with anger. You wouldn't dare. I bare my teeth in a feral grin. Try me. For a moment we stand there, locked in a battle of wills. The air crackles with tension, both from the unstable magic and the electricity between us. Why? She demands, her voice raw with emotion. Why do you want me with you so badly? What's your angle, Chyros? I clench my fists, fighting the urge to grab her and shake some sense into her. You want to know why? I snarl, taking a step towards her. You really want to know? Naia stands her ground, chin lifted in defiance. Yeah, I do. So spit it out already. The words tear from my throat, harsh and primal. Because you're my mate, damn it. The silence that follows is deafening. Naia's eyes widen, shock replacing the anger on her face. For a moment, neither of us moves. What? She whispers, her voice barely audible over the rumbling of the cave. I run a hand through my hair, frustrated by her inability to understand. You're my mate, Naia. My mate, do you get it now? But instead of snapping back, the tension seems to dissipate as she stares at me. And then the slightest smile pulls at the end of her lips. There's nothing else I'd rather be. I freeze, my eyes locked on Naia's face. Her words hang in the air between us, barely audible over the rumbling of the cave. For a moment, I can't believe what I've heard. What did you say? I growl, needing to hear it again. Naia's eyes meet mine, a mix of fear and determination in their green depths. I said, there's nothing else I'd rather be because somehow I've fallen for you, you stubborn demon. The words hit me like a physical blow. I've spent centuries building walls around myself, focusing solely on my pursuit of knowledge and power. And now, this tiny human has managed to break through them all with a single sentence. I surge forward, my hands cupping her face. Say it again, I demand, my voice rough with emotion. Naia's lips quirk into a small smile. I've fallen for you, Chyros. Gods help me, but I have. A growl rumbles in my chest as I crash my lips against hers. The kiss is fierce, possessive, a claiming of what's mine. Naia responds with equal fervor, her fingers tangling in my hair. When we finally break apart, both breathing heavily, I press my forehead against hers. You're mine now, little one. No taking it back. Naia laughs softly, as if I'd want to.
This huge orc brings out the animal in me.
In a world where humans have been driven underground, living like rats is the only way to stay safe from the marauding orcs.
All my life, my only job has been to make sure I have enough to eat.
These orcs of the Burning Sun clan will vow to keep their human mates safe.
There is a nobleness to these giant savages, alpha male warriors who will protect their women at all costs.
Get this complete series of books following the Burning Sun clan for 70% off. Each book is a full-length monster romance that features a giant orc with eyes for his beloved, curvy human. Happily ever after guaranteed.
Protheca's magic is eternal.
This bundle will show you that size really does matter.
Chapter 14. Naia. Chyros grips my face, lifting it up to his. That's right. He leans in and kisses me deeply. I look up at Chyros, my heart pounding in my chest. His silver eyes shine with an intensity that steals my breath away. I can't believe what I'm about to say, but it's a truth that's been burning inside me, impossible to ignore. Chyros, I start, my voice barely a whisper. I swallow hard, trying to find the courage to continue. I know we just met, and this is crazy, but I love you. His eyes widen slightly, the only sign of surprise on his otherwise stoic face. Then, a low growl rumbles in his chest, resonating through me like a claim. You're my mate, Naia, he says, his voice rough with emotion. I've loved you from the second I saw you. A shiver runs down my spine, his words echoing in my mind. I can't believe this fierce, powerful demon loves me. Me, a former slave, a nobody. But the way he looks at me, with such raw intensity and possessiveness, leaves no room for doubt. He reaches out, cupping my cheek with his large, warm hand. His touch sends a wave of heat through me, and I lean into it, closing my eyes briefly. You're everything to me, little one, he continues, his thumb gently tracing the line of my jaw. I didn't understand it at first, this pull I felt towards you, but now it's clear. You're mine, and I'm yours. He leans in, his forehead touching mine. His breath mingles with mine, and I can feel his heartbeat, steady and strong. I won't leave you behind, Naia. Not now, not ever. His words wrap around me like a comforting blanket, filling me with a sense of belonging I've never known. I reach up, my fingers tracing the intricate runes on his face, feeling the hum of his magic beneath my touch. I like the sound of that. His hand moves to the back of my head, tangling in my hair. He pulls me closer, his lips capturing mine in a fierce, passionate kiss. It's a promise, a claim, a declaration of love. And I pour myself into it, heart and soul, knowing that whatever the future holds, I'll face it with Chyros by my side. Chyros deepens the kiss, his tongue sweeping into my mouth, claiming every inch. I pull him hard against me, needing more, needing the connection with him. His hands tangle in my hair, gripping tightly, sending a shiver down my spine. I can feel his intensity, his desire matching my own. It's clear he does too, as things start to turn feral.
As much as Samara and I want to finish what these two characters have started, it looks like this chapter is about to get too hot for this platform to handle.
Unfortunately, we have to pause here because their guidelines won't allow us to reveal the spiciest details.
They keep bringing you these free audiobooks. We have to follow their rules.
But don't worry. You can experience the full, unabridged version over at worldsofprothika.com, where the boundaries of passion and fantasy collide.
Use code YouTube30 for 30% off any of our unabridged audiobooks set in the rich and immersive worlds of Prothika.
Prothika's magic is eternal.
With these scenes, it will be unforgettable. Chapter 15. Chyros. I stand before the swirling vortex of energy, my arm wrapped protectively around Naia's waist. The ancient chamber hums with power, the air thick with anticipation. I can feel Naia's heart racing against my side, her breath quick and shallow. "Ready, little one?" I murmur, glancing down at her. She nods, her green eyes wide but determined. "As I'll ever be." I turn my attention back to the portal, running through the inscription's instructions in my mind. With Naia's help, we begin the intricate process of opening the gateway. "Channel your energy into the runes," I instruct, guiding her hands to the glowing symbols etched into the stone. "Let it flow naturally. Don't force it." Naia closes her eyes, her brow furrowing in concentration. I feel the surge of her magic intertwining with mine, raw and untamed but potent. The runes flare to life, pulsing in sync with our combined power. "That's it," I growl approvingly, pride swelling in my chest. "You're doing beautifully." The portal responds to our efforts, the swirling energy intensifying. Tendrils of light reach out, probing the air around us. I mutter an incantation, weaving a protective barrier around Naia and myself. As the gateway stabilizes, I perform a final analysis, probing its structure with my magic. The energy signature feels solid, consistent with what I'd expect from a stable interdimensional passage. I stand before the portal, my mind racing with the implications of what we're about to do. From outcast theorist to the brink of proving inter-realm travel possible, it's almost too much to comprehend. "Damn," I mutter, running a hand through my hair. "Never thought I'd actually be here." My gaze drifts to Naia, her small form pressed against my side. My mate. The concept still feels foreign, yet undeniably right. How did a simple investigation lead to this? I think back to the debates in Teelith, the condescending looks from my peers as I presented my theories. Their dismissive words echo in my mind. Impossible. Heretical. A waste of magical resources. A smirk tugs at my lips. If only they could see me now. The pull that led me here, the risks I took. It all seems trivial compared to what I've found. Not just the portal, but Naia. This fierce, stubborn human who's become essential to me in ways I never imagined possible. I tighten my grip on her waist, feeling a possessive growl build in my chest. She's mine now, in every way that matters, and I'm hers, though I'm still coming to terms with that fact. "You all right?" Naia asks, her voice pulling me from my thoughts. I nod, meeting her concerned gaze. "Just processing." She smirks, a hint of her usual sass breaking through. "The great Chyros? At a loss for words? Never thought I'd see the day." I chuckle, feeling some of the tension ease from my shoulders. This is why I need her. She grounds me, challenges me, keeps me from getting lost in my own head. "Watch it, little one," I growl playfully, nipping at her ear, "or I'll remind you exactly how eloquent I can be." Her shiver of anticipation sends a jolt of desire through me. Later, I promise myself. Once we're safely through the portal. I turn my attention back to the swirling vortex before us. Everything I've worked for, everything I've dreamed of, is within reach. And now I have someone to share it with. The realization hits me like a physical blow. I'm not alone anymore. Whatever we find on the other side of that portal, whatever challenges we face, we'll face them together. "Ready?" I ask, meeting Naia's eyes once more. She nods, her expression a mix of fear and excitement that I'm sure mirrors my own. "Let's do this," she says, squeezing my hand. I take a deep breath, steeling myself for what's to come. With Naia by my side, I feel invincible. Whatever lies beyond that portal, we'll face it head on. Together. "It's ready," I announce, tightening my hold on Naia. "But we need to move quickly. I'm not sure how long it'll remain open." Naia presses closer to me, her fingers digging into my side. "Where will it take us?" I shake my head. I can't say for certain, but wherever it leads, we'll face it together. She looks up at me, a mix of fear and excitement in her eyes. "Promise." "I swear it," I growl, cupping her face with my free hand. "You're mine, Naia, my mate. Nothing in this realm or any other will change that." I take a deep breath, my fingers intertwining with Naia's. With a final glance at each other, we step into the swirling vortex. The moment we cross the threshold, reality warps around us. It's unlike any magical transportation I've ever experienced. Colors blur and stretch, forming impossible shapes that hurt my eyes to look at. The air feels thick, almost liquid, pressing against my skin from all directions. I try to tighten my grip on Naia's hand, but to my horror, I can't feel her anymore. Panic surges through me as I realize we've been separated. Naia! I try to shout, but no sound escapes my lips. The void swallows my words, leaving me in suffocating silence. My body feels like it's being pulled apart and compressed simultaneously. Every cell screams in protest as the portal's energy courses through me. I attempt to summon my magic, to create a barrier or find Naia, but my powers are useless here. The terror of losing her grips me, a cold dread settling in my chest. I need my mate. The thought of emerging on the other side without her is unbearable, but there's nothing I can do. The portal's force is overwhelming, stripping away my control, my magic, my very sense of self. I'm forced to surrender to its will, helpless against the tide of interdimensional energy. My consciousness starts to fade, the edges of my vision growing dark. The last coherent thought I have is of Naia, hoping desperately that she's safe, that we'll find each other on the other side. Then everything goes black.